Is it a good or bad time to invest in California real estate? I get that question a lot after 23 years of California real estate investing. And by the way, I love that Land Cruiser right there. After 23 years, um, there's always a good time. It depends on your strategy. So sometimes, of course, are better than others. So, for example, when you are competing against an absolute ton of buyers, then it's not a good time. When interest rates were like 3% or below 3%, and there were 20 offers on a property, that was a tough time to find a deal that makes sense. You make your money as an investor when you buy. You make your money on the buy. Now, of course, you don't actually realize that money or see that money until the sell, but you make it on the purchase by purchasing the property at a right price and also having a strategy, which is the most important part, a strategy for that property where you're going to be able to survive any downturns. You're going to be able to add value, add equity to the property. So it's more about the strategy, and the strategy changes depending on the market. So let's talk about the California real estate market right now. And if you were to throw the question at me, is right now a good time to buy in California? Well, right now the environment is interesting. Interest rates are still, I guess, high. Historically, they're pretty high. And so affordability, without question, it's very difficult for people to afford California real estate with interest rates the way they are and with prices with the way they've gone up. And so all of a sudden, you have less buyers on the table. For the past 2 years, I've been competing with much less buyers, which means if I'm looking at a lot of properties, I'm going to be able to cherry pick some that are going to really make sense. Now, my primary strategy has been flipping luxury homes, and I'd say mid-range luxury for the coast of California here. And that strategy is working really well because typically a luxury buyer is not going to want to do a ton of work on the property. So we find properties that need a ton of work, and we do the work, and we build profit into that, and we're able to sell that property turnkey to someone who just wants to move in. Everything's done. The roof's done, the plumbing's done, the electrical's done, and they can move in turnkey and live out their days in a property that's done beautifully and everything's been thought about. So they're not going to have to do any sort of major projects over the next few years. Now, that's a strategy that's really working all up and down the coast of California. We're talking about that strategy as one of the strategies in the California Real Estate Investor podcast. And so that's a unique strategy that works well right now. The other one that's working well is finding hospitality properties. So finding properties that are motel zoned or even tiny homes or glamping, anything like that. You know, like this cool Airstream behind me, where you can park Airstreams on a property and rent them out. Anything that's, travel related, where you can pick up on the tourism that happens in California and provide short-term stays legally, with the zoning. That's a hot buy right now. That's a really hot buy. And we talk about that in a California real estate podcast episode where Ashton bought the motel. I've referenced that before in Joshua Tree. And so there's certain strategies that really, really work well. I believe flipping homes right now works well because there's not as many buyers that can afford to buy a home, first of all, and then afford to buy it and renovate it on top of that just makes it really, really difficult. So if you can bring in capital, you can bring in your private money investors or hard money investors. If you need access to capital like that to flip homes, hit a comment below. I'm happy to connect you with my connections. But that sort of opportunity is huge because you can bring in capital, construction capital, and turn the property around and make it in a way more affordable because someone can buy it from the get-go with financing and not have to do all the renovations themselves out of pocket after buying the property. Wholesaling is also a strategy that's working right now in California. You know, wholesaling is, if you're not familiar, you find an opportunity and you tie it up, and it's something where you're going to actually sell that opportunity to another investor for a fee. It's something that you can do where there is people looking for inventory that's difficult to find. So if you're really good at finding deals, especially off market, you may be able to tie that opportunity up and wholesale it to someone else. There are all kinds of strategies that you can use in different markets. Again, the most difficult market to find a strategy for is when everybody's buying, when everyone's gung-ho, when everyone's like, oh man, the real estate market is insane right now. That's when it's the toughest for me, honestly. Like, it's the easiest for me when people are doom and gloom. I mean, when people are like, real estate is the worst investment ever, then we are making our money on the purchases because we're able to pick up properties that people are going to be dumping. And so, you know, all the uncertainty in the economy right now, the uncertainty in interest rates, the uncertainty in the trade wars, any sort of uncertainty works in our favor. And so when it is a confident market in real estate, when everyone's buying and everyone's talking about how amazing it is, then the strategy is to find opportunities probably off the market, because if you are going for something that's on the market and you're competing against 20 other offers, you just don't have a chance. Like, I would submit offers on these properties and there'd be 20 other offers and the agent wouldn't even return my phone call. Like, I didn't even get an acknowledgement. We'd submit an offer over asking price and the agent wouldn't even like say, hey, thanks for the offer. They were just too slammed. They had too many offers on the table. And that is really, really tough. So in that market, we're digging deeper and we're looking for off-market opportunities where we're just going to have less competition. So that would be the most difficult market. Right now, in this current market, I think there's opportunity. You know, there's more and more properties coming on the market and there's less and less buyers. And so that makes a great opportunity. When these interest rates drop again in the next few years, it's probably going to get hard again. It's going to get hard to find opportunity. So go out there, look at properties, try to look at as many as you can, educate yourself. And yeah, I'm going to keep doing these unplugged episodes. We've got a beautiful overcast. We get this marine layer here along the coast of California, so not as much sun today, but it keeps us cooler. But I'll keep going for walks, doing these unplugged episodes for you. Give me a like, give me a subscribe, give me some feedback if these are helpful, and we'll continue. Talk soon.